Are you feeling trapped, misunderstood, or even manipulated in your relationship? Have you even started questioning your own sanity because of the way that you're treated by your partner? Forgiving your narcissistic partner is a hard journey of a lot of pain, mistrust, heartbreak, confusion, and headache, but it's not impossible. Hi, my name is Keanon Slade, and I have successfully achieved FIRE. That is, I'm financially independent and retired early in Costa Rica. And more than that, I'm a life coach that helps good guys build a great life outside of the United States. Part of building a great life outside the United States requires more than just looking at the perfect house, where you're going to go, and things like that. If you're going to actually have a good life outside the United States and you're recently divorced or separated, then you're going to want to be able to get some healing, and that starts with forgiveness. So we're going to be jumping into some things that will actually help you have and enjoy your utopia when you get there. So let's get into it. So before we begin, you actually should understand the type of relationship that you're in if you're dealing with a narcissist. Most of the times, one of their greatest strength and tactics is using gaslighting. And so what happens is when you actually are having a conversation about one thing, they'll actually manipulate you, trick you to say, oh, that never happened, or we didn't agree on that. And you will begin to question yourself. Now, this is very toxic and is actually considered a form of abuse because it starts attacking your sanity. When that gets attacked, you start only believing what they said and as truth versus everything that you know. Even for the simple, small stuff that you would think, no one would ever lie about anything that small. If they're trying to mess with you, they will. Another trick that a narcissist will do, and again, there are many, so I'm only going to actually go through two before I get to the points of why you should forgive and how you should forgive, is they'll bring you to these intense highs and these intense lows. When somebody brings you through an intense low and then pulled you out of it, then your mind begins to think, oh, this person saved me, or this person turned another leaf. I can trust them even more. Okay, I'm going to just give them everything. And you're not realizing that that person caused the problem. Or you'll think, oh, this person drastically changed around. They're maybe showering you with gifts or anything like that. And then, like a switch, everything is they're going to take you back through hell again. And it becomes that vicious cycle of, good and bad, good and bad. And after enough time through the cycle, especially if you haven't left after you hit the bottom, you really begin to get addicted to that. Oh, I'll do whatever I can to keep this high because they really love me. They're really showering me. I just want to keep this stable. You can't keep it stable. You can't change them. And they'll bring you back to low again as soon as they're ready or they're ready to have their fill of drama. And so these are the things that, some of the things, just two little small points that I wanted to talk about before I jump into point number one. Now, point number one is you need prayer to actually be able to forgive a narcissist. Again, drastic highs, manipulating changes, different things like that. You need to pray and have God to be able to release you from this hold that actually gets taken on you. The reason why you're forgiving them, and I'm going to show you how to forgive them in a little bit, but the reason why you're forgiving them is not so much for them, it's for you. Because when you find out, oh, somebody's been taking advantage of me, the first thing that you're going to do is experience anger and potentially hatred for that person. And that is a poison to you. That's going to eat you up. They'll walk away. They'll be with another person, whatever it is. And all you will have is bitterness in your heart. And that's only going to poison you and your future relationship or your current relationship. You want to pray to get released from that so that you are not still connected to that particular behavior. Now, I'm saying these points like, just do this. I'll be honest. It took me probably 3 years of daily forgiveness and prayer. So this is not an overnight thing, but I found that the poison was eating me up. But now I can actually have a conversation with my ex and be okay. The thing that you want to get to is not that you're going to be buddy and friends like that, but you're going to be able to talk to that person without anger or hatred in your heart. So if you're resonating with this video, I want you guys to stay to the very end because I'm going to give you some points that will actually be able to help you on your journey. Again, this is about having the complete you. So getting to another location, a utopia, and still being bitter in your heart with unforgiveness, you're not going to enjoy your new life. No. And so we're going to get into the next point. So the next point would be you want to seek professional help. And the professional help is going to help you to work on yourself. You're going to do different things that will remind you who you are, get your identity, get some things that were crooked now back to correct and what they're supposed to be. You're going to be able to get that alignment back. If you're married, you might have some particular problems because depending on the person. Most likely they're going to go along for the ride. You're going to get that higher thing that I just talked about in the beginning a lot longer, but as soon as you go through a number of sessions, it's going to come back. And that's especially if they're a true narcissist. If they're a narcissist, you are not going to be able to get out of that cycle. Because the one truth that I found, again, this comes with the one-on-one professional stuff, is you can only change you. You can't change anyone else. And so if someone is not really ready to change because they see so much value in this narcissistic behavior or what they want, they're not going to change no matter how many counselors. Honestly, I went through probably 9 or so counselors, and good 90% of those, they were together, marriage counselors, and still nothing got fixed in the time period. Now, again, I will tell you my story, but I really haven't heard a good, successful story on this particular part. Now, saying that, hearing these words, and even hearing the words as I'm saying them, I didn't believe the person who was like, oh, that person's narcissistic. I was like, okay, one more chance. We're in year 10 and 12 and 13 and 15. One more chance. I know that but it looks like that sunny high point is going to stay. And as long as we can keep, I was willing to fight for it. And honestly, if you have a good marriage, you should be willing to fight for a good marriage. I'm not the one for divorce or anything like that. But you have to realize that if you are with a true narcissist, you are going to come back down, and you're going to need a professional person to be like, these are the points you need to watch out for. Okay, this is coming around, and be probably taking notes for you because you're going to forget. Oh, how many times have we went through this? It only felt like once. It was 25. You want to be able to get that professional help to be able to get you on your journey and get all this right. If you guys are resonating with this, especially those who are separated, recently dumped, and divorced, I want you guys to click on the bottom for more resources, and let's get to the next point. The next point is learning how to forgive correctly. Now, before, when I was growing up, I thought forgiving meant just keep opening the door. I forgive you. Come back in. Do what you were doing before. Okay, I forgive you every day. Come back in, come back in, come back in. No, there's different types of forgiveness, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but I'll keep them pretty simple. If someone on the street does something, they bump you, okay, the forgiveness is just, oh, get over yourself. Get over yourself. They don't have to get over themselves. Like, oh man, all right, you're being rude, or maybe you're having a bad day. Okay, back up. Now, when someone like a narcissist is pinpointing, attacking you, there is another type of forgiveness that you're going to have to do. And essentially that is give them forgiveness, but not letting the door open, not letting them back into your core, if you will. And the core is the sensitive spot, the intimate places. Again, this is why I'm talking to separated and divorced people, because this is pretty hard to do when you are married. Again, back to point, the second point is you need counseling to do this, but you're not going to let that particular person into your core. And how you do that, again, professional help, prayer, and some other stuff that I'll get into. They're forgiven, but do they have the same access to you? No. When the phone starts ringing like crazy, no, they don't have that type of access anymore. What are you doing where you're at? You've learned, again, with the professional help, how to have a conversation where, no, they don't get to have that. The only things that they may be in contact with you, and again, this is only if you have children, is your children, and the conversation is about your children. It's not going to be about everything else and stuff like that. Be nice, be cordial, but you're not going to forgive in such a way as, let me bare my heart to you again so I can give you something to take advantage of. Now, I don't want you running around scared. Like, if I say one thing wrong, they're going to take advantage. I went through that phase, and maybe that will be a phase, but you don't want to stay there too long where it's like, oh, if I say one thing, then this will happen, and then that happens. No, that's living in fear. I want you guys to be able to like, okay, this is my life. This is her life. Now, with that is because she's not in your core and such. That means if she does something reckless, that's on her. You don't have any say, no, and nor does she have any say in what you do. A person could change themselves, but you can't change that person. If they do stuff that they know is a trigger for you, you have to be at the point like, hey, that's your life. If you have kids and you're separated, this really gets muddy. So it's hard to talk about in a quick YouTube video, but I'll just say, if your child is not in danger and you just don't agree with certain things, you let it go. Pray for your child. Again, not a beaten boyfriend. I'm not saying be silent on that type of stuff, but I'm saying if your child is in an environment, you're like, oh, if you don't make him do his homework, he's going to struggle. okay, that's okay. Yes, it ruins your dreams of your child having perfect grades and all that stuff. You're going to have to let some of that stuff go, because there's no way that you're going to be able to control that person, and nor should they have access to control you. So the question for you guys, are you guys ready to leave your narcissistic relationships, or you figured out another reason to stay? So I want you to put that in the comments below. Let's get into the next point. Part of the forgiving part of forgiving them is to be able to forgive yourself. For a long time, I overlooked this, and I couldn't figure out where the problem was in my life. The problem was that I hadn't forgiven myself. I was able to forgive my spouse, but it took me, I don't know, probably just as long to forgive myself, because I thought being smart and intelligent and stuff like that, I should have saw this coming. I shouldn't have did X, Y, and Z. If I did A, B, and C, I could have been a lot better. But the problem was I wasn't forgiving myself. If you don't forgive yourself, you're still going to be drinking that poison, if you will. You have to learn to forgive yourself and be like, hey, things happen. This is something that I learned with my counselor, and I also learned in a book called Mindset, is you have to have a growth mindset. A fixed mindset says, I was stupid, I'm dumb, I made mistakes, and I'm an idiot, I'm probably not good at relationships, and da-da-da. You'll all say all the negative things of why you failed. The growth mindset goes, I've learned, I'm a different person now. I'm learning to grow in that. I've learned from my mistakes, especially because you went to counseling. I'm not the same person that I was in the relationship, in counseling, and so forth and so on. But you learn to actually take those lessons. I was a people pleaser. I had to forgive myself for people pleasing and trying to be the best everything. I'm going to be the best husband and everything that made the environment rich for a narcissistic relationship. I had to begin to forgive myself. And honestly, that took time. Honestly, all of this takes time. There's certain things that you can rush and check off, and there's other things that are just going to take time to be healed from. And forgiving yourself is one of them, but it is something that you should do because it will help you in your journey. If you guys are really resonating with this, I want you guys to click on the link below, because there's some things that will help you. And these are some things that are vital that I tell my loved ones. If you're on this journey to get a better relationship, to have a bit better relationship within yourself, you need to actually have a holistic or a complete idea and healing when you make your journey. So let's get to the next point. The last point, because I'm going to tie two of these things, so listen closely, these things are always good together, is to create exits and boundaries. Now, you want to be able to create the right exit. That comes with professional help, because most of the time your exit goes in like this. I'm mad, you did this, and yelling and argue. But honestly, that helps feed the drama that the narcissistic wants. That's just manipulating you. You think you got the last word. You cussed her out. You said some things that you probably shouldn't have said. That's not a good exit. You've given off negative energy, if you will, and that's going to come back to get you, because you're gonna be like, oh, I shouldn't have said this, or you're just going to contemplate all the negative stuff. That's when you really need to know how to have a good exit, and that really comes with professional help. If the conversation goes left, we're just going to breathe and just end it right there. Okay, we'll talk this conversation when both of us are in a good place, or whatever. Now, something like that. That's not a true example, but that's essentially how it's going to work. Then your boundaries, you're going to have boundaries. When someone breaks your boundaries, then you're going to be like, no, you are not allowed in here. Here's the rules, here's the penalties. You're yelling on the phone. The boundary is we're not going to be yelling and arguing. So I will have to talk to you later. Thank you. Bye-bye. Block number. And again, those may not be effective for you. So those why you get help, because you know that the arguments are never fruitful. And it's generally to distract you from the main point. It ends up in an argument over here because you're so heated, you don't even realize that the conversation has moved 15 times. You're going to be like, here's the boundaries. We're just not going to start that. That's it. Okay. It's putting your foot down. The line stops here. This is how I'm going to be treated. Here's how the conversation is going to go. No, we're not going to talk about this. No, we're not going to. Here's the boundaries. Now, narcissists may strike back, but again, you've gotten help and healing and all that stuff. So when they start striking back with words and they're trying to say certain things, yeah, you're going to be like, yeah, that's not what we're going to do. That is something that you are going to do to actually help yourself have good exits and good boundaries. If you guys are resonating with this, I want you guys to comment below and subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you see all the rest of the videos, and shares, because we're trying to help more people who are actually in this particular situation. Until next time, I will see you on the other side.